the European Union in dealing with piracy, which the subcommittee considered yesterday. I would welcome it if you could give us a brief report on the situation in Somalia, in particular the political and economic situation, as well as your ideas for more stability in the region, with particular reference to piracy and the EU mission. I very much welcome the fact that you've been able to come because of your participation in the London conference on the future of Somalia. We've lived for 12 years in the Netherlands and 11 years in the United Kingdom, where you were awarded a PhD in political studies from the University of Birmingham. I'm very pleased you were able to come. You have the floor, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, distinguished members of the European Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to exchange views with you about Somaliland. My country has a long-standing ties with Europe, and we welcome the strong relationship that we have established with the European Union and the many of its member states. Our present borders are the outcome of colonial rivalry between European powers in 19th centuries. Somaliland, like several other European states, was once part of the Ottoman Empire. We were a British protectorate then from 1897, and a brief moment of freedom, we joined with Somalia on a voluntary union in 1960, after which we joined with Somalia. The union did not work for us and did not work for Somalia either, and it was the beginning of an unsuccessful life. In its final years, it produced wars and sufferings, including the decimation of our capital city of Hargeisa and the lives of the people in Somaliland. The elders of my country and the leaders of the Somali national movement met in Bur'o in May 1991, and they reasserted our independence. And since then, Somaliland has been functioning as an independent state, but still waiting for a international political recognition. The following 2 decades, from 1991 till now, have seen the emergence of a peaceful and democratic Somaliland through a painstaking process of reconciliation at the local level. At the same time, governance collapsed in Somalia, leading directly to the problems confronting the Horn of Africa today, namely terrorism, piracy, and hunger. Attempts by the international community, including the European Union, to address the Somali problems have been largely unsuccessful, despite the sacrifices made by AMISOM troops and the deployment of considerable resources, not the least by the European Union and its member states. In Somaliland, we have focused on our own state-building process, including securing our borders, both on land and at sea, denying pirates the use of our territory, protecting our citizens, and providing for internal structures and allow over 3.5 million people of our citizens to live in peace and work toward prosperity. We are proud to say that Somaliland is very much a functioning democracy. We have held several internationally monitored elections, most recently a presidential election in 2010, which resulted in a peaceful transfer of power between political parties, from a losing party to a winning party. With these achievements now embedded in our society, Somaliland has recently re-engaged with the international community in order to play its part in solving the ongoing challenges in the neighboring state of Somalia. Last month, London conference, President Ahmed Mohamed Sinai of my country and myself as a foreign minister have attended for the first time a conference on Somalia. I think that presented an important milestone in our international diplomacy. We were pleased to participate in the conference as an equal, and President Ahmed Silanyo delivered a speech setting out our vision for creating a peace and stability in the neighboring state of Somalia. We believe that the international community focus on inflexible and unrealistic notion of Somali's so-called territorial unity endangers the very stability that we are all looking for. Focusing energy on the recreation of a centralized state through a top-down approach ignores the realities on the ground, which are dictated by the decentralized nature of the Somali politics. The forcing of an artificial unity would also run counter to our firm belief that peace and stability in the Horn can best be promoted by building upon the success that have already been achieved in Somaliland. We offer a compelling example of peace and democratic nation building through the bottom-up approach, drawing on a tried and tested methods in our country to diffuse disputes between clans and the neighboring communities. Following the declaration of our independence, that's exactly the kind of conflict resolution process that took place inside Somaliland. We believe that a similar approach is needed in Somalia too, and we have offered to share our experience with our brothers and sisters in Somalia. Europe too has experience of this kind. The European Union is not only a union of states, but a union of people. I do not need to emphasize to the members of this House the importance of civil society or a community building at the grassroots level as central to the development of peaceful and democratic system. These traditions were almost destroyed in Somalia during the years of rule from Mogadishu. The EU contributed over half of the operating costs of conducting Somalia's 2010 elections, Somaliland's elections in 2010, while also providing financial and technical support to the country's democratic institutions. It is a strong view of my government and our people that Somaliland would be in an even stronger position to contribute to a stable and peaceful Somalia if Somaliland is recognized politically internationally. With such international recognition, Somaliland would gain increased access to markets, international trade, the international financial system, and its institutions, more foreign direct investment, and ability to join and participate in international organizations. The communique issued at the London conference last month recognized the need for international community, I quote, to support any dialogue that Somaliland and the transitional federal government in Mogadishu or its replacement may agree to establish in order to clarify their future relations and positions. This clear statement reinforces Somaliland's vision of a dialogue between two separate entities, Somalia and Somaliland, that can engage as equals and marks a starting point for a constructive dialogue and discussion about the future relationship between Somaliland and Somalia. Those relationships must be based on the acceptance by the TFG or its replacement that the 1960 union, voluntary union notably, entered into between Somalia and Somaliland has actually failed, and that the future stability and the development of our respective countries is best served by a recognition of Somaliland's independence. Such approach would allow the necessary political space for Somaliland. Somaliland has a vital interest in the peace and security in the region. We are fully engaged with the international community in the fight against terrorism and piracy. In fact, my country takes a leadership role in the fight against piracy. We have introduced a law, anti-piracy law, that has never been in existence in the whole region. And we have introduced a prison transfer law recently. These are indicators that Somaliland is ready to cooperate with the international community, particularly with the European Union, on the fight against piracy. And we have a positive track record on that. And perhaps I will be able to elaborate more on that in subsequent question and answers. Let me once again express the gratitude of the government of the people of Somaliland to the European Union and its member states for their continued support of my country. Collectively, the EU and its members are the largest donor body to Somaliland, a generosity that has gone unnoticed or unappreciated, that hasn't gone unnoticed and unappreciated. I might add also that our society could not have survived without the support and the opportunity given by the EU to our diaspora population. I had the pleasure of meeting Commissioner Piebalgs in Hargeisa, the International Development Commissioner of the European Union, in July 2011. And I have had many opportunities to engage with the development ministers from several European member states, including Holland, Denmark, Norway, Britain, and other countries as well, who came to visit to Somaliland during the last 1.5 years. The President of Somaliland, Ahmed Silayo, met a member of EU foreign ministers in the margins of the London conference too. And we look forward to further strengthening our ties with the European continent. In this regard, I wish to invite European ministers and indeed members of the European Parliament to visit Somaliland in the months to come, so that you can see yourselves how the EU generosity and concrete support is leading to significant breakthroughs in our efforts to achieve Millennium Development Goals. Whether in the area of economic development or in the area of governance, your support is playing a good role in bringing about peace and stability and sustainable development to my country. For example, a 19 million euro is allocated to rehabilitate and to expand a vital water supply infrastructure in my country. In the field of education, the EU strong support for enrollment and attendance programs has seen overall school enrollment jump from 38.6% in 2006 to over 60% in 2010. And as a result of some of your support, we have been able to make elementary education in my country free of charge. Therefore, we can increase access of young people, particularly girls, to education. EU funds have also assisted the improvement of police, courts, civil society, the electoral process, democratic institutions, and public financial management systems. I'm also pleased to note that the EU has recently allocated some 4 million euros for a feasibility study on the establishment of the Berbera Corridor, which is a road linking from Berbera port to the Ethiopian border with Somaliland. This has the potential to significantly boost trade and transportation capacity of the Berbera port. In turn, it enhances the economic prospects of Somaliland and the whole region. This project has been some time in coming, and we were very excited to now be moving forward on this very important, promising initiative. Mr. Chairperson, distinguished members of the European Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, Somaliland wants to play its part in finding solutions to the many problems facing our region. We very much appreciate your efforts of our development, but there is also more that can be done. In particular, a political recognition of Somaliland's independent statehood within the borders established by the European powers in the 19th century would reinforce Somaliland's role as a beacon of peace and democracy in the Horn of Africa. And this will allow us to engage even more effective partner for the region, for Europe and for the international community. I understand that the President of the South Sudan will be speaking in this House today. I want to emphasize that we have a good relationship with the South Sudan government. In fact, the President Ahmed Sinai and myself were a guest of honor of President Salva Kiir to attend his inaugural in July last year. We are developing a trade and a security relationship with Southern Sudan. Another final point I want to make is on Al-Shabaab. I understand, and I'm sure you would know, that Al-Shabaab has been almost defeated now around Mogadishu, thanks with the help of the AMISOM troops and with the support of the European Union and the international community. But the question is, where are the Al-Shabaab going to? I don't think they have all been eliminated. They are making movements, and I think once they are fully defeated from Mogadishu and South Central, we think they might come up to the north. And if they got a hideout in the eastern part of Somaliland, where we have mountains, they are going to be difficult to be dealt with. And I just want to raise to the attention of this House that Somaliland needs to have an increased engagement and support on security with the European Union. We are grateful to your support in terms of development projects, education, health, but we would like to have a meaningful cooperation on security issues. We do not have that security cooperation at the moment. And I think that we would like the EU Parliament to also to push the African Union to support, to provide a security support to Somaliland. We need more training, support for our security forces. We need an infrastructural support to our security forces. Somaliland has been able to defend its democracy and security for quite a long time, for 20 years, against extremists and jihadists, both local and international. But I think it's going to be far-fetched if Somaliland is expected to fight against Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda oriented groups if they choose to come to Somaliland. We are particularly vulnerable because we are a democratic state, and values that we stand are not seen as a good by the extremists. They don't think that democratic system and gender equity and civil society and freedom of expression is necessarily a good thing to do. And therefore we are extra at risk because of those values we stand for. And we would like to have a much more